Okay, people, back again. This time, I'm going to do some westerns. It's not so light in this cupboard as the other one, so you have to bear with me on this one. The first one is 100 Rifles, which is Welsh and Burt Reynolds. A good western. I like this one. This is the US one. When I first bought it, it wasn't available in the UK, and it is now. Next up is 310 to Yuma. Russell Crowe. This is the UK DVD for this one. Good western as well. I like that one too. I'm a big fan of westerns, by the way, so don't be surprised if I don't tell you that I like most of them. It's not like horror movies, because a lot of them are not so good, but I know I'm dropping them everywhere, so I'm going to have to move down a bit. It's going to be difficult in this cupboard. Next one is the Alamo, which is the original version with John Wayne and Richard Widmark. Old one from the 60s, but a good western. I mean, I'm a big fan of John Wayne. I got most of his colour westerns. Always been a fan of his. You're going to find it strange, but I don't have any Clint Eastwood movies, westerns in this section. I got all my Clint Eastwood movies together, so I'll do them another time, and the westerns for them will be in with them. Next one is Appaloosa, if I'm pronouncing it right. I've only seen this one once, but if I remember rightly, I did enjoy this one. Ed Harris. It's the UK one, as you can tell with the certificate down there. Next up, these are in alphabetical order, by the way. On to the B's is Barkiro, which is Lee Van Cleef. Good western. I always like this one. 70s one, if I remember rightly, or it could be late 60s. Can't be 100% sure, but always a fan of this one. That's the UK one for Barkiro, if I'm saying it right. I think I am. Next one is Bandolier. I always like this one, very good western. James Stewart, Dean Martin, Raquel Welch and George Kennedy. Great western. That's Bandolier. Next up is The Big Country, oldie one with Gregory Peck, Charlton Heston. It's a good western. It's the UK one for that. As you'll see, not very many Blu-rays in this section, I'm afraid. Haven't got round to upgrading most of it. There would be some I wouldn't mind upgrading, but just haven't got round to it yet. John Wayne again, Big Jake, one of his later ones. Another great one. Always a fan of Big Jake. That's Big John Wayne, Big Jake. Next up is Breakheart Pass, which is Charles Bronson. Massive fan of Charles Bronson. I've got a lot of his movies. Great guy, great actor. I've got a section of his movies upstairs, but I've got his westerns down with these. Breakheart Pass. It's the movie on a train when there's people being killed off. Next up, classic one, Paul Newman, Robert Redford, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Great western. Big fan of that one. As you can see, I'm a big fan of most of these. You know, I was always always liked watching western when I was a kid, and I'm exactly the same now. Next one is John Wayne again in Cahill, US Marshal, which is a great movie as well. That's the UK one again, look, as you can see. Slipcase on that one. Don't usually see that very often on westerns, but you do on that one. Next up, Charles Bronson again, Jack Palance, Chatto's Land. Great movie. Now, I just recently found out that this has been released on Blu-ray in the States, and it's actually a full version. I've been reading that this one has been trimmed a little bit, so I wasn't so happy when I found that out. So that might be one I would definitely upgrade because of the slight cuts. Next up is John Wayne again, Chisholm. Great western again. The old snapper case, UK one. There it is, John Wayne and Chisholm. His actual name is John Chisholm as well in the movie, if I remember rightly. Next up, another John Wayne one. I told you I had quite a lot of John Wayne ones. This is a double one. This is the Comancheros and the Undefeated. Two very good westerns, both on the same disc. Two movies on one DVD, as they say, or two discs, sorry. Next up, and it's John Wayne again. Look, if I can get this one out. Look, I'm having trouble getting this one out for some reason. God knows why. It's have a bit sticky on it. Next up is the Cowboys. John Wayne again. There it is. John Wayne, the Cowboys. Another good movie. I was a fan of the Cowboys. Next up is Death Hunt, which is Charles Bronson again. Charles Bronson and Lee Marvin. Great western. This is the US one. When they go after Charles Bronson, chase him across the country, he picks them off one by one. Great movie. Big fan of Death Hunt. Next up is the old version of Django with Franco Nero. That's the UK one, uncut as well now, because that was cut in ages, a long time ago. Then they finally released it. So that's like the proper version of Django now. Sorry about the glare. Bit of a 1 minute it's shady in here, and the next minute it's fine. Now this is the Blu-ray version of the remake Django, the Quentin Tarantino one. So as you can see, it's still sealed actually. That's the Blu-ray for Django Unchained. Next up is John Wayne again. This time John Wayne and Robert Mitchum. El Dorado, great western. Love El Dorado. That's the UK one for that. Next up is Spaghetti Western. This is A Fistful of Dynamite, which is James Coburn, Rod Steiger, the UK one. You know, it is a good one. It always reminds me of like the Clint Eastwood Dollar trilogy, because this is spaghetti western. I probably haven't seen that one as much as I have the Clint Eastwood ones. Next up is Four of the Apocalypse, which is Lucio Fulci's western. Now this is a bit of a, this is the US one. This is the uncut, unrated version. Can't get this in the UK. This is like they put some gore scenes back in that and that's a western, by the way. So he's well worth having, just for the scenes if you haven't seen him. Next up is another classic. Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas, Gunfight at the OK Corral. You know, a great western. Can't go wrong with those type of westerns. Massive fan of westerns. I know I've said it, but I am. Next up is Hanny Calder, which is Raquel Welch. When she gets like raped and that, and she gets that guy to help her, and she goes after him and kills the guys who did it. It's another good western. That's the UK DVD, Hanny Calder. Next up is the UK Blue for the Hateful Eight, which is Tarantino's movie again, western. And now I cannot tell you about this one because, believe it or not, I haven't watched it yet. Still sealed as well, so I will get round to it eventually. Next up is The Horse Soldiers, John Wayne again, William Holden. Another good one, cavalry one. Bit of an older one, but I still like it. Next up is the UK Blue for Hostiles, which is Christian Bale. It's a bit of a more of a newer one. Only came out in the last few years. But that's the Blu-ray for Hostiles. So I'm going to go down, start going down to the next shelf now. See how many I can get done. I'll probably be doing the westerns in 2 lots, I expect. So I don't have time to do the whole lot now. first one is on this section is James Garner, which is Hour of the Gun, which is like a sort of one of a Wyatt Earp take, what he did. Quite an old one, but it's still a good western. Next one is a very old one. This is probably 50s, I expect, late 50s for this one, which is How the West Was Won. This is a special edition, 3-disc edition. I think they remastered this and put some footage back in, I think, or something like that. Very long western. A load of stars in this as well, do brief appearances. Well, that's How the West Was Won. Yeah, a bit difficult to get some of these out now. This cupboard is going to be a bit awkward. Wait till I get to my cupboard upstairs, then it's going to be even more awkward. I've still got so many films to do, I've got hundreds. This is The Hunting Party. This is a superb western. Oliver Reed, Candice Bergman, and Gene Hackman. It's when he gets when Oliver Reed kidnaps his wife, Candice Bergman, and they go after him. It's a great western. This is the US version for this. I couldn't get it on UK. I don't think it was out on UK when I originally wanted it. It might be by now, but it's a great movie. Next up, John Wayne again. This is The Sons of Katie Elder, John Wayne, Dean Martin. Another good one. Anything with him, the colour ones. Not so keen on the black and white ones. Don't have any of them, but and if I did, the only one I would have would probably be Red River. I don't have that one. That's the only one I'd quite liked on that. But this is now this is a bit of a weird one to say. I think it's pronounced Kioma or something like that. Franco Nero western. Blue Underground. This is the US one, and I can't actually remember this one, so I can't talk about that one. I'm not going to say something I don't know it, you know, so that just sounds stupid. Next up is Burt Lancaster, Robert Ryan in Lawman. Great western. When Burt Reynolds goes after some guys, he's like a sheriff in it, or a marshal. It's a good one. Some good shooting in this one. That's Lawman with Burt Lancaster. Next up is Little Big Man, which is Dustin Hoffman and Faye Dunaway. It's another good western. I haven't seen it for ages, but I know it's good. It's the UK one for that. Next up, Gregory Peck again. This time with Omar Sharif, which is McKenna's Gold. This is the UK DVD for that one. Got an old one again, but still a good western. Telly Savalas is in it as well. Next up is Charlton Heston in Major Dundee, which is a good western. I think this one was remastered. It had some footage put back in this as well, if I remember rightly. This is quite a long movie now. I think it might be a different take on Custer of the West, maybe, if I remember rightly. But it's a good western. Next up is my box set for the Magnificent Seven. So in this box set, obviously it's got the classic one in there with Yul Brynner, Steve McQueen, Charles Bronson in that, which is the original one. I'll just show you that from the side. But you know, it's got the Magnificent Seven. It's got the Return of the Magnificent Seven, which was Yul Brynner again. Then you had Guns of Magnificent Seven and the Magnificent Seven Ride. So you've got all four of the Magnificent Seven movies in there. So it's a good set to have, to get the whole set. I mean, the first one is absolutely great. You know, you're never going to beat the original Magnificent Seven. Classic movie, classic soundtrack. That's it. That's the Magnificent Seven. Next up is the remake of Magnificent Seven with Denzel Washington. This is the UK Blue. Not as good as the original, obviously. You're never going to beat the original. But I still enjoyed this. I took my son to watch this at the cinema when it first came out. And it was on telly the other week as well, and I was watching it again. But that's the remake of the Magnificent Seven. Next up is The Man Who Loved Cat Dancing, which is Burt Reynolds. Obviously this is the foreign French version or something, but it's got an English soundtrack on there, and I couldn't get the UK, couldn't get it in the UK, it's not out, so I had to get it on a foreign version. But like I said, it's got a UK soundtrack anyway, so it's not a problem. But this is The Man Who Loved Cat Dancing with Burt Reynolds. So I'm gonna stop there, and I'm going to carry on again from where I am on there. So that's some of my westerns. I will carry on from there. I'm hoping that some of you guys like the westerns as well. It's not just westerns I've got to do war movies, I've got like other stuff, sci-fi movies and stuff. I've got hundreds and hundreds of movies to do. But I just wanted to end off with I just wanted to start with some westerns today. So I will finish this western section next time, and then move on to a different section after that. So comment below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, and thanks for watching.